Do you remember when I mentioned how the design of the flag and St. George's cross and the story of St. George pertained to Christian dogma and why these people believed that owning slaves and doing what they did to slaves was right in the Bible? Here's why. Luke chapter 12, verses 41 through 48. This, in my version, is where it's found. And my version that I have, where I found this, was in the King James Version. Now I know you can go and find different variations of the Bible and they will all say slightly different things. We'll address some of those here in a bit. Let me tell you what the KJV version says. Jesus is asked to tell a parable and essentially says that if you have a slave and he doesn't do what you ask him to do, you have to give him many stripes. But if a slave doesn't do what you want him to do because you didn't tell him, then you still have to give him a few stripes, but it can't be as severe as the one who was told and didn't do it. And then it says something kind of odd. It says, for he who is given much, much is then asked of or required. And to he who is also given much, even more is required. Now, this passage is a little odd because I think what they meant to say is whoever gets something is required to do something in return, and whoever gets more is supposed to have more required of him. And I think that's where they were intending to go, but it wasn't written right in my translation. Now, it doesn't really say morally exactly why it's okay to beat someone when you didn't tell them what you wanted them to do. And many apologeticists and even some theologians and philosophers and even followers of the Christian faith have said, well, he's not talking about slaves. There wasn't slavery back then. It was indentured servitude. Well, it doesn't matter if they were slaves. It doesn't matter if they were indentured servants. It doesn't matter if they were regular servants. And it doesn't matter if it was just, people that were their friends or anything like that, or family, or even an actual paid full employee that's not even a servant. It doesn't matter who it is. It's wrong to beat them when you said, hey, I didn't tell you to do this and you didn't do it, so I'm going to beat you. Because when they say give that person stripes in the Bible, this is an ancient form of punishment. It's lashing of the skin to cause scarring. These scarrings would then help to prevent that person from joining things such as the clergy or administration functions, higher offices in places like the military, or even offices such as the kingship. You couldn't have these things. They showed that you were impure, that you were full of sin and evil and had done wrongs in the past. And this was an okay thing to do in the past. It is not really an okay thing to do. You shouldn't be allowed to scar someone's flesh. You want to see what it looks like? Look at this. No, I'm not fucking kidding. Go back to the picture. You look at it some more. This is stripes. And this is what Jesus said to do. If you believe it's right to do this to an employee, to a servant, or to someone that owes you money, you're morally questionable. And I don't think we should listen to what you have to say on this subject, because that is not a good thing to do, and it is not a legal thing to do. But this is what they believed was okay to do. Hence why we have pictures like that. Hence why we have these stories about how they were so abusive and they had to run away to get away from this abuse. Even Frederick Douglass said, I prayed for 20 years to be free. And nothing happened until I prayed with my legs. Which means he stopped praying. He ran. Sorry to interrupt the already scheduled broadcast. I got caught in some sort of temporal distortion, but I figured I'd take the time, since it's been a while since I made this video, to actually let you know I've done more research. The person who the street was named after, where this shooting took place in Charleston, was actually Calhoun. John Caldwell Calhoun. And I even have another one of his nifty little quotes about slavery. Here's what he says. Many in the South once believed that slavery was a moral and political evil. That folly and delusion are gone. We see it in its true light and regard it in the most safe and stable basis for free institutions in the world. Yeah, he said that. That's confirmed. This historical figure, Calhoun, just pisses me off to no end. I mean, seriously, you hear that quote? Seriously, Calhoun, stable? You mean when they weren't revolting or running away? Is that the stable you mean? And what the fuck do you mean safe? Did you forget to look at this picture? I mean, seriously, safe? Are you freaking kidding me? I know that you may have changed your mind later in life. I haven't heard anything about that, and I haven't really found any evidence for it. What I notice is that you are still a rampant person that loves to have slaves and consider it to be good. Now, Lincoln, on the other hand, he had said some racist things too. But there's a difference. Calhoun and the Confederacy didn't really change their mind about slavery. They thought it was good. Lincoln and the Union, i.e. the America that we currently live in, figured out it's bad. And we don't like it. And we outlawed it. Now, one of the cool things is Lincoln got help to learn more about it and understand it better and truly empathize with the plight of the African American people. Because he had a friend named Frederick Douglass. I've mentioned him earlier. But unfortunately, down in the South, we still have organizations that have popped up post-Civil War. You see, down south, there's these groups called the KKK and even the Mississippi Sovereignty Commission. Well, these groups haven't learned from their past mistakes. And because of this, we now have this shooting taking place in a church on a street with this man's name, who's saying these things about slavery being a moral good. I mean, it's just history kind of repeating itself because they refuse to look at this and say, yes, this is racism. I mean, Republicans will say, liberals and others that aren't conservative say racism a lot, so they must be racist. No, the reason why we say you're being racist all the time is because you're being racist. If you knew you were being racist, you wouldn't be doing it. That's the problem with racism, is most of the time people don't understand they're doing it. And they don't understand how wrong it is. But I've eaten enough at the time of this video. I don't know how long this distortion is going to last. So I'm just going to return you back to the video that's already currently in progress of being taped. Sorry if you missed a couple minutes in there.